Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And hi, everybody. I'm spiritual medium Kelly White, and we're with John today. John
Hello,
Williams.
ladies.
Hi,
Happy to
John.
be here on a Monday with a
Hi
wonderful
there.
guest.
How are you today, John? What's going on with you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just dealing with the last few strokes of Mercury retrograde. How about everyone?
Well, we're going to talk
Yes.
about that. We're
Yes.
actually going to talk about that right now. I may as well start because we have an incredible guest that I think you just got a sneak peek of.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yes, we
am I
did.
seeing that, or am I
Yeah,
not
you
supposed to
are.
see that, or
I was
was
kind of
there?
in the green room, but I guess it's still Mercury retrograde
It
because
is.
Well, Mercury went direct. However, the first 2-3 days, forget about it. It's stations, and it's like, oh, trying to,
yeah.
it's like trying. It's like when a planet, we call it retrograde, but it could be like when it's asleep, frankly, and it just has to turn around and wake up. And it did go direct, and it's of course in Cancer. And what I do want to talk about is a few things that we have coming up, and then we're going to get to our fabulous guest.
Yes.
So it's a good thing that Mercury's direct now. I mean, it makes life a little easier in a very difficult period of time that we're all in. It's still remains a difficult time.
Hmm.
Tomorrow is Tuesday, July 14th, and tomorrow the Sun in Cancer actually creates an opposition to Jupiter, which is retrograde in Capricorn. So what does this mean? It's a big deal, actually. The next few days are a big deal. Feelings are going to move from inner the way we've been feeling to outer. It's like you've been feeling the A, B, or C, and it's going to just come out.
So
um,
what's an example of that? What does
well,
that
an
mean
example is,
for the
do you
few left
remember?
brains out there?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly what it means. Do you remember that eclipse we had on June 5th? And it was about making the unconscious conscious.
Yeah.
And we had Black Lives Matter, we have Black Lives Matter, and those kind of feelings are kind of connected to this. So whatever you've been feeling in the inside, maybe you've not talked about, is going to start coming out. Okay.
So maybe you'll have experiences that might trigger
Well,
those
this is a
things.
trigger time. Trigger, trigger, trigger.
Yeah.
This is trigger, 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 trigger points. In fact, we're going to talk about that. Yes, great word, Shirley. Thank you for that. And on Wednesday, July 15th, the Sun, opposes Pluto, which is also retrograde in Capricorn. So what does this mean? This means there's going to be an inter-accountability of your actions.
Oh.
Again, inside what, and it could be a misuse of power out there in the world. So it can be a very, very difficult time. And then, the big one is really July 20th when there's a Cancer new moon, and it opposes Saturn, also retrograde in Capricorn. And this brings about a high tension. It brings about high emotions, irrational behavior, challenges, a lot of challenges, and an intensity, and rational thoughts kind of go out the window. So I want everybody
Hmm.
starting now for the next couple of weeks, really, and in fact, frankly, for a long time, but really you're gonna really feel it in the next several days. It's going to require serious patience, and so I would ask everybody to stay focused on your goals and think ahead. And I'll tell you why. Think of the next step. Let's say you're about ready to explode. Think before you explode,
Yeah.
because Mars is in Aries in its own sign. It's not retrograde, it's moving along. And when you've got that extra energy moving along with these three powerhouses retrograde, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, this is not a good time. It's not a good time. And when you have the Sun, the new moon in Cancer on July 20th, that is it's going to make you think and talk about trigger. This can lead to triggers, and so you want to act. You don't want to react. You want to really think. And I
Yeah.
guess I'm telling everything. Passions are going to be running high. Uh, be aware. Awareness is everything. Think, what did
Yeah.
Kelly talk about? Oh, yeah. Maybe I shouldn't just say what I think. Maybe I should just kind of keep it to myself for a moment and think about what would happen if I do this. So this is what I
Yeah.
wanted to talk
Yeah.
about today. So we're still in it, folks.
So Jennifer says, comet coming tonight called Neowise won't be back again for like a few thousand years. Oh, wow.
She's absolutely right. And I don't know much. I don't know anything about that comment. But if you can tell me, Jennifer, what that means, because it's a big deal. Neo-wise. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Neo-wise.
Wise.
Please, everybody,
We're
be
not being-
wise.
Yeah. Well, going along with triggers, use your body to let you know when you're triggered. Your body, studies have shown that your body reacts to something split seconds before your mind is even aware of what you're reacting to. So stay in tune with your body. If you notice a tightening in your tummy or your chest, or anxiety or fluttering or something like that, you can pay attention to that. And that moment that you're paying attention with curiosity, oh, my stomach just got tight, I wonder what just happened, gives you time to choose a response and not just react. And
That's
it
a
takes
good one.
practice, and it's not easy, but especially during this time that you're saying, to be very aware of it.
Yeah.
Use your
That's a
body
good
as your
one.
guide. Yeah.
Well, speaking of
So yes,
a guide,
we have the most wonderful
hi,
guest
Linda.
ever. But let's see what Linda's saying right before I introduce her. I'm so excited to have the pleasure of watching. Thank you, Linda. You're introducing her for
Love
me.
her.
Do the healing work again.
Love
Hi,
Linda.
Prajna. So it's wonderful, Prajna, all the way from India, waking up at an ungodly hour to be with us. And you can read her bio on our website, but she is one of the most gifted energy healers that I have ever met. And
Me too.
you say that too, Kelly. And for you to say that, yeah.
Oh, I
Completely.
heard it. I mean, she's been doing tune-ups on all of us. It's just,
Yes, she has.
And it
Yes.
really has made a difference.
Yeah. So welcome, Prajna. Come on in. Bring her in.
Hi.
There she is. Yay.
Hi, Prajna.
Hi, everyone. Thank you
at that
for your
smile.
love and your welcome. It's just amazing. It just warmed my heart so much.
Oh my gosh. And I know you got up at 4 a.m.
Oh.
to be here with us.
I know. And I was telling Kelly, when you get up at 4 a.m, don't try to meditate afterwards. Close your eyes and sit for meditation. It's just not a good idea.
You're going to go right back to sleep.
I was sitting there meditating, and so I was like, okay, I guess I'm jumping in the shower instead. Just
Oh
do
my
that.
goodness. I mean, I really appreciate that, because for me, that would be torture. Waking up early feels like torture for me. So thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
And I'm so glad you're here, because there's so many questions that we want to talk about with healing for you. I mean, my goodness, you're the greatest person to talk to about this. And I have a list of questions, and I know that people are going to have their questions, their general questions. And I have a question about, and this came up in one of my classes, or one of my I don't know, shows that I did, and it was on cutting chords. Can you talk to us about cutting chords and what that means?
Let's start with a bang. Let's not even ease our way into it.
No, no.
Go for
I'm
the
just like
jugular.
that bar.
Kelly's no nonsense. What
No
did I call you,
nonsense.
Kelly, the other day?
Oh, she called me Sally Set Me Straight.
Kelly was telling me something, sharing something with me that, not always easy to hear. And I go, boy, Kelly, you're being Sally Set Me Straight today.
Yeah. I said, all right, Cheryl, I'm going to set you straight. Well, I just know there's so much, everybody has so many questions for you. And that was my question. I really wanted to know. Hi, Susie.
No.
And this is so true. Susie's been participating in our groups, and she used to have the hardest time with just letting the tears flow. And now we can play music, we can talk about certain things, and the tears are just flowing. So you have really helped open her heart chakra. So thank you.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So chords. So I know there's always a lot of talk about cutting chords, right? People are like, okay, I have this, X, and please let's cut this chords, let's get rid of it. And cutting chords is a big deal. And here's the thing. So anyone we're ever in contact with in a deeper way, so deep friendships, anybody that we're intimate with, or family members, they're always energetic chords that get connected. And energetic chords are nothing else but chords that go, so our chakras are our expressions of ourselves. Each one of the chakras governs something different. So the heart chakra, obviously love, the third chakra, how we connect with another person in presenting ourselves in kind of who we are, the second chakra, nurturance. Each one of them has something to do with a part of ourselves. So depending on the relationship that we have with somebody, so if it's a work relationship, we're probably going to have cords in the third chakra or throat chakra, maybe. You know, if it's a love relationship, friends or family or partner, heart chakra. If it's a sexual relationship, a lot of the second chakra cords. So those are naturally forming all the time between us. Cutting cords is not something that's, first of all, really doable. You can't just erase an energetic connection with somebody. And it wouldn't be a healthy thing to do either, because, so we got to think about this. If we're wanting to cut cords with somebody, it's probably because there's a difficult relationship there. There's something unresolved. There's some trauma. There's some pain. There's something we're just done with. It's almost like if you say, you know, I am done with, you know, being out of shape and I just want it to be over with, and I'm going to, you know, just end this and I buy a membership to the gym and that's going to solve everything. It's not like that. You got to work your way up and work out, and you got to work your muscles so that you can become healthy in the way that you want to be. If you just cut cords, you're not really healing yourself. You're not healing your heart. You're not healing your experiences. You're not healing why you were with that person to begin with. You're not healing your trauma. You're doing nothing. So all of that is still going to be within you, and it's going to come, or us, it's going to come up at some point. So the healing way to do it is clearing cords. So of course we can't answer for what somebody else is going to do ever. That's up to them. But let's say this is us and this is the other person. The cords meet here. So the other person, we have no business with what they're doing. But we can clear our cords up to here, so we can clear how we feel about it. We can clear the trauma. We can choose to disconnect from that unhealthy behavior, that toxic behavior. And the cord between us and them actually start clearing and becoming useful again. And then we can actually use it to connect with positive relationships. And it really stops the effects that we're receiving from that other person, because highest energy is always more powerful than lower energy. So if it's a toxic relationship, if we clear it and we're like, you know, like really connecting here in that toxic bond, because, you know, it has to be both people somehow. If we clear it and we move away, this person cannot come close because the energy is too high, the vibration is too high, and then we're literally bringing a new experience to our lives. If we just cut this, we're still with unhealthy experience, they're still with it, we're just going to draw the same thing. So it's really kind of like trying to get a quick fix, but we know quick fixes don't work. They just don't work.
What you're saying is just so beautiful. What I've always loved about how psychology, you know, doing the earth work as a human is so connected to the energy work and spiritual work, because it sounds like what you're saying is just stopping contact with that person doesn't clear what you're not clearing the cord, you're just stopping contact. And in my work, we would explore what attracted you about that person. What is it that, you know, and so we would heal that piece of it, which sounds very similar from a spiritual standpoint to clear. You know, it's not cutting the cord, it's clearing the cord. So they just go hand in hand. It's so beautifully.
And it's done through awareness and making a different choice then.
Exactly. Well, it's done through both. So energetically, you can have a healer literally go and help clear the energy. It's very important because our energy field stores everything that we go through. So we can either be super aware of that and be able to clear it ourselves, but I mean, I'm not super. When it's our stuff, it's hard, you know? So it's good to have help from the outside, somebody that can see what's happening. But the psychological work, the emotional work, it's 100% a part of it. So with my clients, that's why we always talk about the belief systems. How does it feel? Like, where do you see this in your life? Where is the pattern? And we can keep going deeper, because even if a healer comes and just clears the cords, if you haven't done this psychological work, Shirley, that you just talked about, it will come back, because we're going to create it again. So it goes hand in hand. It must go hand in hand.
Yeah. So we're going to create it again with a different person, a similar thing, or could we do it with the same person? Because Terry is asking something very interesting. She says she finds it interesting that clear rather than cut. But she says when we clear, can we always energetically connect to the person again?
So you can't cut a cord. It's going to come back. It's not possible. Energy doesn't work like that. I think it's a term that's used because I don't know why, but it can't just cut a relationship. Once we talk about past lives having an effect on us now, and we've died, we've been in the other world, and we've incarnated again, and literally the thing is still affecting us. So how can we just cut a cord from somebody that's in this life? It's not possible. Like once you're connected, you're always connected. But once there's a distance, the cord starts becoming less strong, but the connection is always there. That's another reason why it's so important for us to be so aware and choose with discrimination, who do we connect with in our lives? Because we're going to have a connection one way or another with that person forever. And it's really important to know that.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that if we clear it, it doesn't have to affect us, but that the connection will always be there once we've connected with someone?
The connection will always be there somehow, but if it is an unhealthy pattern, an unhealthy relationship, let's say, if we clear whatever happened in that relationship from us, we will not be affected by it anymore. If we do the emotional work and we clear it, the connection will be there. That person will be an imprint in us forever. It's kind of like if we choose to get a tattoo, you can't just get rid of the tattoo afterwards. You can get it, cleared in whatever laser way that they do, but you can always tell that there was something there, but you can clear it enough and you can put something over it. But once we've had a relationship, once we've had an experience, there's an imprint in our energy fields forever. So the imprint is there. But however much it's going to affect us, if we do the conscious work and the energetic work and emotional work to clear it, we're not affected by it anymore. It becomes just a mark. It becomes like an old tattoo that you can kind of still see it, but it's really not even relevant
like
anymore.
A scar?
An old scar, yeah.
Like an old scar, exactly. Yeah. It's exactly like that.
Yeah. So Kelly is asking, Prajna, do you recommend moving certain chords from on chakra or areas?
Chakra. I think she's saying one chakra.
Oh, I'm sorry, from one chakra or area of our body to where we feel we'd like it to be, along with clearing them. Also, are there ever times you find it appropriate to remove a chord?
Okay, so I don't know if you mean moving a chord from one chakra to another chakra. If that's what you mean, that is not very possible because, for example, again, the heart chakra chords, they're related to love, they're related to friendship, they're related to like truly a love connection. The first chakra, for example, the root chakra, is related to safety, life force. Like a love chord and a life force chord can't be exchanged. Like they belong in their own ways. It's kind of like, air goes into the lungs, food goes into the stomach. Food can't go into the lungs, and air, shouldn't be going into the stomach. It's the same. It's the same premise there. Now, is it ever possible or acceptable, or I forget the word, to remove a chord? I have seen in very, very, very few cases chords do being removed. I guess it's not a cutting because you do the work in removing it. But there are situations, especially with tremendous abuse or rape, or like things that truly it was not a mutual consent that the cord was there, that you can remove with work. So it's there's a difference. So if it's a mutual consent, if it's a relationship, a friendship, a work thing, then that cord is going to be there because it's like, there was a choice between both beings to come together. But if it is something that was forced, then that's like a whole other realm. And it can be dealt with in a different way.
Wow. Yeah.
So
that is so interesting. And I think cutting the cord is it's a metaphor for, when you cut the cord as a baby.
Oh, wow, that could be. I
Yeah.
never thought about it that way. That definitely could be. But there's a sacredness in cord connection. So let's just say it was a terrible abusive relationship, for example. Both went in and then it became an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
We can use those experiences for our own personal growth.
Oh,
For
yeah.
how do they connect with? So why would we just cut the cord and get rid of it and pretend that nothing happened? It actually can be a springboard to amazing healing in ourselves. So, that's the thing. We've got to look at any experience we have within life as an opportunity for healing, which truly it is what it is. That's why we're on this planet. We're here so that we can heal our spirit, our being. It's not a temporary thing just for right now. There's so much more involved in our true existence. I mean, we've existed for so long. What we're living here now, although it feels like a forever long lifetime, sometimes
Yes, it does.
it does. But it's a little bleep in terms of how long we've existed and all the lifetimes we've had. So these are experiences. So when we can look at what we've gone through as opportunities for healing, then it's empowering. Then we don't become victims. I'm stuck here. I was stuck in that relationship, or somebody hurt me, or my parents were like that. Sure, it did affect us, but how can we look at it? Okay, how has this made me better? How can this make me better? How can I be more compassionate with others? Sometimes our deepest wounding, oftentimes, if we really do the work with it, can lead to the deepest compassion towards another
Yeah. I
being.
completely agree. I was in a horrible, horrible relationship, just a very abusive relationship. And I'll tell you what, I learned everything about it and was so important to me because I can help others
Yeah,
with it, because I have the compassion and the understanding and the wisdom from it, frankly. I get
Yeah.
it now.
exactly.
So that is, it's to put your point, and I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. And I have to say, I mean, some of the most, the deepest healing and transformations have come when people show up in my office because they've just experienced a, a huge trauma. So you're
Exactly.
absolutely right. Yeah.
Sometimes we need that stirring of the pot, with a deep trauma like that, or sometimes with a deep illness. I mean, these are really, truly all opportunities for us to heal. Excuse me. Life is not going to punish us. Nothing's punishing us. It's not like that. There's not some judgmental being somewhere that's punishing us with a difficult person in our lives or with an illness. It's giving us opportunities to look inside and heal and become stronger and become better people. And that's when we really empower ourselves to go through life. I stop going through life as victims of whatever it is that our story is, and we start going through life as really empowered beings.
Absolutely. And I've noticed that the universe, the universe really doesn't give a shit. It'll throw in, it'll, give us an experience, and we can either hear it and take it and learn from it or not. And then later on, it'll throw another experience our way. It'll keep doing it until until you work through and get the lesson.
I call that the
Exactly.
spiral lessons. The spiral lessons. We keep coming
These
back around to the
spiral
same ones
lessons.
until we get the deeper truths that it's teaching us. But
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead, John.
oh no, I just have a question for you, Prajna, about
Yeah.
the fact that this is myth busting to a lot of people because they've
Yeah.
heard about cutting cords. So my question is, what if because I've always felt better when I have cut the cords, but in my mind maybe I was clearing the cords. So is there a difference between cutting and clearing in our mind, or is spirit going to work just because we might be ignorant to the idea that you can't cut but you can clear? Does that make
That
sense?
is such a beautiful, I'm so glad you said that. And I'm glad you used the word ignorant. Ignorant in just the sense of not knowing, having
Right.
this
Yeah.
innocence about it, right? Which
Yes.
we all
Yes.
don't know
Naive,
everything.
however you want to say it. Yes.
Exactly. So the deepest, most important part of our beings is our intention, whether it's a conscious intention and whether it's an underlying intention. So if you came to a healing session with the intention of freeing yourself from whatever it was, and the word you're using is cutting the cords because you just didn't know any different, what's really working there is your intention for healing and your intention for clearing.
Yeah.
It's not the words. It's important to educate for all of it. I think I love learning and I love educating myself, and I think it's really important. But the deepest thing is the intention. So the healers, the guides, spirits will do what is necessary and meant to happen, regardless of your wording, given that your intention is deep. There can be somebody coming to a session and using even the word clearing. Let's clear the cords, and their intention is being vindictive, and they're still holding on to anger and to hatred, and they really, in their subconscious, they want nothing to do with clearing that cord, although their mind is saying that they're going to clear that cord. Well, that's not going to work. That cord is not going to be cleared because of the emotional psychological piece. Again, that's why the emotional psychological piece is so important to be worked on, because it's our subconscious, it's our underlying intention to everything that really matters, that really counts.
Lori is asking a good question. If the
interesting.
cord is cleared, does that clear the karma associated with that person and therefore complete that storyline carried with us through lifetimes?
That's another beautiful question. So that is another reason why it's important to never try to cut a cord, because if you do that, you will never complete that karma. A karma doesn't complete itself until the lesson is learned and integrated. So if you try to just get away from it or cut a cord, you're either going to come back with this person again in some other lifetime if we're here again, or somebody else is going to, it has to clear, the karma has to complete. So the best, most amazing, wonderful, wise thing to do is clear whatever is there. And once we clear, it doesn't matter if the other party has cleared it, because we've done it. Then if they haven't chosen to do it at the same time, they're going to have to work it out with somebody else that has a similar karma, because their karma still has to be cleared too. Yeah.
Now, I'm curious if you've seen, either one of you, if you've seen where someone wants to clear, we use that language now, clear the karma, but the person they were with, let's say, had, was stalking them or something like that. If they've cleared it on their side, does that behavior stop? Have you ever seen that, just out of curiosity? The other person's behavior, even though they haven't cleared their side because they want to keep at it. Have you ever seen that?
It will change their behavior to a certain point. So we can't change somebody's behavior or choices. Like, they still might want to keep stalking you. But to the moment that we stop engaging with it, in whatever level we're engaging with it, if we let go, if we clear, that will diminish and that will decrease. And that person at one point, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, is going to feel like there's nothing here anymore for them to connect with, and they are going to move on. It's truly our deepest power is our own personal work. Yeah. Truly the deepest, really most powerful thing we can do for life.
That is such a great way of putting it, because it's so true. Other people, it's secondary. It's doing our own work that's going to,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Wow.
Always.
So, wow.
Even in relationships, when we're in a difficult, with a loved one that we want to be with, if there's a difficult connection, very often we have an impulse to have the other change, right? We want the other to change, which of course, like, if they change, it makes things easier. But it really disempowers us. That's the thing that's so important to really look at. As long as we put the power on the outside, we are disempowering ourselves. When we change the behavior, there is nothing else for them to really connect with, and their behavior will naturally change. It works for everything.
Yeah. Wow.
So Christine asks, how do you identify blocked chakras?
Yeah, wow, such great questions. I'm loving this. So, for example, if let's talk about the heart chakra again, because there's a lot of relationship stuff coming up. If we are noticing that our hearts are a little bit more closed, we don't receive love as well, or we have a hard time trusting love, or we have a hard time connecting with that, anytime there isn't a flow happening, there is something going on in the heart chakra. Either it's blocked, or it's torn, or there's something's going on there. So anytime in our lives that something's not moving effortlessly. Now, all of us have stuff happening with our chakras. I do, all of us here do. It's just life, because we all have gone through a lot of things. That's another reason why it's so important to really do this deeper work, because otherwise it rules our life and we don't even realize it. If you are having a hard time speaking in public, let's just say, or if you have a hard time presenting yourself in who you really are, there's something going on with your solar plexus chakra. So anytime something's not flowing, if we are in perfect flow, then our chakras are all aligned. I think that's very rare. I think my chakras are all aligned before a session and after a session, and then it goes, I go back to my own life.
And then you go back to you. So in other words, so
True.
public speaking, if you have an issue with that, which I completely do, taking a beta
Ah.
blocker, you're recommending more
Oh.
clearing the chakra, right?
I would
Not
take a
just
beta
taking a
blocker.
beta blocker.
It's a little band-aid for, I mean, it works. It gets you through
It
whatever you
still
have
works.
to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like clearing the chakra, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to like walk up to some public speaking, feel centered and confident and at peace and okay with yourself? I mean, isn't that a much better possibility?
It's a better possibility. I can't even imagine it.
I know,
But
so
it
there
is a
must be
much better
some blocked
possibility.
chakras with that there.
Yeah, that's so funny. I mean, but it's interesting how it's because that when you said public speaking, that it would be a blocked chakra that that can
Yeah.
help with that.
Well,
There's
in
so many
a
different
block,
things that manifest, and we don't even realize how they manifest into
exactly.
behaviors. Yeah.
So many. And I want to expand this a little bit to also say, if you have a block chakra, let's say with public speaking, if you're in a different part in your life where those chakras are needed, you could actually have an open chakra for those situations and just a blocked chakra. The same chakra can be open or more distorted. I'll use the word distorted because it's never blocked completely. There's always energy coming in and out. It's just either distorted or flowing. It's never fully blocked. Very rarely. If you're fully blocked, you're in big trouble, physical, life-wise.
Yeah.
And also, there are other parts of ourselves. There's our intention, which is a whole other level than the aura. It's like not even connected to the chakras or the energy field primarily. It's a whole other dimension. It connects with who we are, our purpose for being here, our longings, our connecting to the earth. Like that's something that doesn't even ever get talked about much. And then there's our essence, like our true essence. We are a continuum of ourselves. It's just like we have the skin and our hair and our eye color and our teeth that we can see all of this. Let's just say like this is like our chakras and our aura, which is the part that's mostly known. But then we have what's like right underneath the skin. We have like our tissues and our nervous system and all of that. That is the part of our intention. That's this dimension, which it's called a heart line. It's a whole different place. There's actually not even feelings in the heart line. There's no relationships in the heart line. The heart line is purely about intention. Whatever happens in the heart line goes into the aura and the energy field. And then before the heart line, we have our essence, our pure spirit. That would be like deeper within ourselves, maybe like the air we breathe that feeds our blood supply and our cells. Like that air is pure, regardless of what's happening in the body and what we've done with it. The air is still going to run through. That's our spirit. So the goal of healing is for us to feel that again. That pure spark of light, our essence is there. We just got to work on all these other things that have covered it up with time.
Yeah.
To help us feel ourselves again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So interesting. Betty says, as a peacemaker that doesn't like conflict, which chakra is affected?
Well, gosh, like all of them. So your first chakra, which is the chakra of safety, that will get affected. The second chakra, which has to do with nurturance, that will get affected because you're either feeling okay and feeling nurtured or you're feeling threatened. The third chakra of showing up who you are will get affected. The heart chakra, your throat chakra and how you speak, it will get affected. Is it safe to speak? Is it not safe to speak? Your sixth chakra, which is more like your vision, feeling safety and really expanding or more spiritual capacities. Is that okay? Is that threatened? Your seventh chakra and connecting with spirit. Is this even safe to be myself? That's going to get affected or not. That affects everything. Most situations affect everything. It's never, that's why in a healing session, you start working with one thing and then it expands into everything else. If you have a hard time with public speaking, let's say your first chakra and your third chakra are affected, your safety and how you present yourself. Well, why did that happen? Maybe it was because, in, I don't know, childhood, there was some major heart trauma that then made you feel afraid of being here, that then made that chakra shut down. So it could be a past life thing that's still present. Everything is really connected. Everything has to be taken in consideration. That's why it's so important, for healing work. A lot of times people think, healing work can be done anywhere by anybody in any situation. It's so important to work with people that are very aware of all of this, because if you're just sending energy to somebody hoping for the best, you don't know.
I wanted to ask you about that, because I have so many people that will say, I'm a Reiki person, and would you explain what that even means, Reiki and all of that, and how that works or doesn't work?
I wonder if it's different. Like we've talked about different entry points in healing. Are those different entry points in energy healing?
Yeah, so there are different entry points. Each healing modality, I would say, is a different entry point.
Yeah.
I would say Reiki, there's allowing the universal energy field to come through you, and then that knowledge that your body will just use it wherever it's needed, which is a beautiful entry point. I think, and it works more on the unstructured levels of the field. So the basic levels of the field are 1 through 7. The odd levels are structured levels. So they have to do with the physical body, with the organs, with, building our life the way we're going to build it. The unstructured levels have to do with feelings of self, feelings of love, feelings for the universe. That Reiki energy works on the unstructured levels of the field because it's not specifically directed to a certain point. Now, the hard time that I have with that is that, you can get certified to be a Reiki master within like 4 days or something like that. If you go 2 days and then you get another 2 days, which is truly beautiful in a way, but have you really learned how to look what's happening in the energy field? Have you really done your own personal work? Do you know what effect that healing energy is having on the person? And that's when, I get a little concerned, because I've had so many clients come to me that they've gone to have had healing sessions and their energy field is completely destroyed because, that person was, let's say their person was just sending love. Well, if somebody's sending love to someone that is absolutely traumatized by love, love has only brought them pain and suffering and trauma, the worst thing you can do to them is send them love, because they associate that with a negative trauma. So you're re-traumatizing them over and over for like an hour by sending them love.
Wow, that's fascinating. So in that case, do you just pick up from them what they need, and then that's what you would send them as an example?
Exactly. You read their energy field. So that's why you need to see the field, or you perceive or hear whatever the field. I get close to them, and I try, like, send them love. They shut down. I'm like, okay, well, that's not it. Then I connect to my first chakra. How about safety? Oh, they're taking safety. So how about I go in with this energy until they learn that having another being in front of them is actually okay. And we do that for a while until they start receiving my energy a little bit better. And then I may try to touch into that again. So it's really important. You can actually hurt somebody with energy if you don't know what you're doing, even physically. If you're working with somebody, for example, with cancer, cancer cells, they multiply, right? They're fast growing at different levels, but they multiply. If somehow you end up sending energy into a cancer tumor and you're just like, what is that going to do? It could possibly start multiplying things even more. So it's really important to anyone that's truly feeling the call to become a Reiki master or become any sort of energy healer, keep working, keep learning to develop your high sense perception, to develop your vision, your awareness, keep doing your own self-work, because it's so important that you know what effect that healing is having on that person. That's
that is healing. So important. I think so beautifully and easy to understand in the way that you said it, to really grasp what that means and what energy work is about and why the intention, and really tuning in and noticing what areas need healing is.
Well, but it makes so much sense, because you can't take 4 psych classes and call yourself a therapist. That makes no sense.
Exactly. It's exactly the same thing. And not that, it's not okay to go to these people, but, like, we got to just be mindful. Like when I started this healing journey in my early 20s, I would do practice sessions, and I would do sessions with people that I would charge very, very little because I was learning. It took years to keep learning, and I'm still learning. I still keep learning. It's been 22 years.
Yeah.
So, you can't take a 2-day course or a week course and really put yourself there as a healer, to, like, help everything. I mean, you can, but please, I always feel like that's one of the things, because our profession is not really established in a way yet. I mean, I've seen people that have, had healing sessions. They haven't even gone into any training, and suddenly they start feeling more intuitive, and they call themselves a healer, and they're taking on clients. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's really important. So the same way that if you would call a psychologist, if you were considering having, therapy, you call somebody and you ask them, what are your training? How long you're practicing? What's your style? What do you do? Or a doctor, like, you want to do the same thing with a healer. So are they a match for you? Are they, really, you just want to get information. And, we all have to start somewhere. We all started somewhere in whatever profession we're in. We gotta always keep learning, and especially with healing work, we gotta do our own work. We need to be in therapy. We need to receive healings. It is a must. If you're not in therapy, you're not doing the person a service, because you gotta have a clear energy field before you can help somebody else. So it's so
absolutely. I think in my field, I've always said I think it's irresponsible for a therapist to not do their own work. I really do, and I'm consistently in different trainings. We have to do 36 hours every 2 years to redo our license. But especially when I started to learn somatic experiencing, I have like 150, because I'm always going to training, and it makes me just that much better.
Exactly. Absolutely. Like the training, the healing training that I went through, it was 4-year program, 5 intensive full-on weeks a year in person, major research and homework and practice in between. You had to do bi-weekly therapy sessions with your therapist signing that you did it, so that, because it's all part of it. You cannot just open your chakras and now I'm running energy and I'm going to go into somebody's life. You're talking about their traumas, you're talking about their wounding, you're talking about their life path, you're talking about their groundedness. It's a big responsibility.
Well, and that's the also, when you get to feel it, it completely changes your perspective when you're on the other side. In somatic experiencing training, we have to do our own hours as well. And the first time on my first session, I felt it, and I realized, oh, this is powerful work. But if I hadn't experienced that, I'd be doing something that I'm not sure, if it's helping or not. But when I was able to feel it, I thought, wow, there is really something to this, which made me even more.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And especially with work that's not very tangible, right? These are not things we need to experience it. That's why I always say, like, for me, it's always been mostly word of mouth or people referring people, because you got to say, like, okay, I felt this. This was a difference it made, and then you trust it. It's important. It's like that. So because it's more subtle realities at this point, they're more subtle. Some days we're going to be able to track it more, but for now.
Yeah.
John, you ready?
Yeah. So, ladies, we are at the 42-minute mark. Can you believe how fast?
How does this happen? I mean, really, it's just not right.
And I just want to get some announcements in. We've got our archetypes event coming up. That's on this Thursday. I can't even believe it's this Thursday, the 16th. That's at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern. And you guys can get tickets at bothsidesnowtv.com if you haven't already. Please do so. And let's talk about that really quickly, just a little bit, because I know you guys were working on the curriculum this week about it. So can you share a little bit about what will be shared?
Yes, we're going to be doing, it's going to be really interesting. We're going to go into what archetype are you? And we're going to have several to choose from. And then where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? But we're going to have spiritual archetypes and psychological archetypes. What role are you playing, and what role do you not want to do anymore?
We all create a role that either we were trained to play or that we developed because we kind of realized that was the best role to play to survive our childhood. And so we'll help you identify which one and who you want to be and how to shift it.
Wonderful. And this is a 90-minute webinar. And we're still figuring out if it's going to be via Zoom or which platform, but it will be an online Q&A that we'll be doing. It'll be 90 minutes. So it's kind of like our 60-minute show, but a lot more time to interact and get your questions answered because we're on this show. We always have so many questions and we run out of time with questions and calls. So we're trying to give more opportunity to have some one-on-one time with Shirley and Kelly during these events. And soon we will have Prajna on to do a healing webinar because my God, all the questions we're getting in today are just so many that I'm not going to be able to get through them all. But I do want to get through some of them as fast as we can. Let's go ahead and get into here we go with Jody. Jody says, thank you, Prajna. What signs do we look as indicators that the cord has been cleared or moving towards the right direction?
That you're not feeling affected by it anymore. Like when you feel at peace with the situation, that's what happened. You're freed from it. Or when there's not as much tension anymore, however it's presenting itself in your life, when you don't feel that as much anymore, when you don't feel pulled, the feelings have changed, then it's been cleared or, like you said, moved in the right direction. You know, my Barbara Brennan, my one of my main teachers, she would say that our uncomfortability is our deepest, our most clear sign of guidance. You know, if we're feeling uncomfortable, if we're feeling something not right, we've got to follow that. When we feel at peace, it means that things are fine. It's the most basic primal way of knowing that things are okay or not.
So would that an example of that be if you're having in a relationship and you've cleared your end of it, then you think of that person and you notice that your reaction may be a lot less intense or almost even neutral.
Perfect example, exactly. And it's also a perfect example why cords will always be there. You will always remember that person. They will always be in your mind. You can't erase your memory from them, but you don't have as much of a reaction to them or a pull or a draw to them anymore. It's perfect, actually. Yeah.
Tracy says, my heart just warmed thinking that we in this group will always be connected, speakers, teachers, listeners. Oh, so beautiful.
That's so sweet. And it's
really
very beautiful.
Yeah, so true.
So true.
That's what I say about these group connections that we're doing, even like the after shows, especially, and these meetups that we're doing. We're really forming deeper bonds and connections, and that's a lot of times we're having like a reunion of souls. We're having a reunion of our soul family and reconnecting, and I think that's a really beautiful thing. Kim is saying she had a beautiful healing session with Prajna last Monday. I know it is changing my life. I'm forever grateful, Prajna. You're truly blessings. Thank you from my whole heart. Someone was asking earlier, Prajna, if people can gift other members of our community with sessions with you, because that's been happening and people have been buying crystals from the crystal shop and sending them to people. I mean, it's a
beautiful
really awesome
community.
Oh really my God. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, can you, giving the gift of healing? I mean, really?
The gift that keeps on giving, right?
The gift that keeps on giving. And I've seen people that have gotten gifts in this beautiful community. Somebody got gifted a session and then they paid it forward and they gifted it to somebody else.
Wendy was asking that question. Yeah, so wonderful. I love that. All right, well, great. Let me get through a few more of these really quick.
Let's do it.
Wendy says, can we gift a healing to someone else from you, Prajna Avalon Energy Healing? Is that a similar question that we had before, if they can gift sessions with Prajna?
Yes. So I was just acknowledging that was Wendy who asked that question. So
I see.
Yeah. So Les was saying in regards to last week's show that we did on introverts and extroverts, is some of that blocked chakras or is that something completely different?
Oh, well, that's very different. That's more like who the person is in their essence. I mean, we're all so different. It doesn't mean that if all of our chakras are aligned and we're all open and our heart aligned for the intention is aligned, that we're all going to be the same and, extroverts and expanded and it's not like that. It just means that it will clear who we truly are, whatever that expression of ourselves is, to be fully expressed in a safe way in the world. But we're all very different. Introverts and extroverts, it's actually truly an energetic piece that I know Kelly and Shirley talked about. It's basically how you recharge yourself, which is so important. So it's purely energetic. And it doesn't,
And I love that you say that, because there is no right or wrong, or one isn't better than the other. It's just how we recharge our batteries. And unfortunately, sometimes in societies, the extrovert maybe is seen as kind of the goal. And, and I was influenced by that too. And it took me a while to really accept that I'm an introvert and that's just who I am, and to be able to really embrace it. Sometimes I wish I was an extrovert. And I mentioned last week, I always invite my sister to any kind of party I'm having because she's an extrovert and I love it, you know.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish I was more like that, but I'm not. And it's really just
Yeah.
accepting that, and one isn't better than the other. So I love how you answered that.
Yeah, good. And we can all, you know, show up for what we want. Like for me, everybody in my life, whenever I say that I'm an introvert, everybody's always shocked because I can show up. Like I'm here and I'm showing up and I'm very friendly. And if I'm in a party, I can talk to people. And then I need like 2 months off from that. So I can recharge. So, you know, it doesn't mean, so when we, but in that, I think it has a little bit more to do with how we run our energy and our chakras. Because, like, for example, when I was a little kid in school, I would never ask questions. I was so much of an introvert, and so shy that I would actually, well, at that time, like use my energetic abilities. And like, I would literally stare at some other kid in the back of their head and say, can you ask, you know, where Cambodia is located? And then they would go like, where is Cambodia located?
Okay. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
It's so true. I did it all the time. It was very useful.
That's hilarious.
I
That is
would
so
love
funny.
you to tell your story about when you were you're a black belt in Taekwondo. And I would love you to tell that energetic story because you guys will be, your minds will be blown here.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good story to show how powerful energy really is. And again, and how important it is to really see where you're getting your energy healing from. And if you're a healer, what you're doing with your energy. So I had been training for my black belt for like over a year. And I had been doing Taekwondo for several years. And to get a black belt, it's a major process. Like it's weeks of testing, physical testing, skill testing, and it's just really huge. The day of the test, it's like 4 or 5 hours long. You have to go through the entire curriculum and you spar and you do board breaking and you do everything. So we are at the last half hour. We're sparring, and as I was sparring with one of the other black belts, I jumped to do this one kick, and when I landed, my leg went like this, my left knee twisted, and I heard this pop, and I fell, and I tore my ACL. So when you tear your ACL, the ACL keeps your knee from doing this, so it keeps your knee straight. So if you have a torn ACL, when you walk, your leg goes like that. So I couldn't put my foot down anymore, my leg down, on my left leg. So the next thing was the board breaking. So it's the last like culmination because it's really cool part of the black belt test. So for an adult, you have 5 boards. They're 1 inch thick of real wood. And they stack the 5 boards together on these 2 cement blocks. And you place yourself in front of the blocks and you have to use all of your strength, all of your body strength. They usually like jump up and you go down and you punch because you got to use all of your mighty power and everything that you can to break through that. And people usually don't break it at first because it's truly really hard. It's 5 pieces, boards that are there. So there were all these other adults that went before me, like big burly guys, and they're like jumping and breaking, and they break like 2 boards and they have to flip the boards and so they can break the rest of it. And somebody else goes and their like hand is bleeding and they have to punch it like 3, 4, 5 times. It's really not an easy thing. So my master comes to me, the assistant master comes and he says, you don't have to finish this. And I'm like, I mean, that's just not me. And I'm thinking, listen, I've been training for this for years. I'm finishing this black belt test. I can't just stop. So, my turn comes and the 2 cement blocks are there and I kind of like hop on my right leg. I'm like, tuk, going towards the board. And the instructor comes and he takes the adult boards out and he puts the kids board.
Prajna, you there? I think we lost her.
Oh no, getting to the best part.
I know.
It's the best part.
The cliffhanger.
Sorry, I'm here.
Back.
It's like it's like for the anticipation. So,
it was for a fact. Thank you.
It was planned. I'm sorry.
Thank you,
I
Spirit.
planned the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, she is in India in an ashram, so I mean,
It's a
Unlimited
miracle we're even here.
connections.
So,
Yeah.
I look at my master and I say, please, can I have the adult boards? And he says no, because it's just a dead end. And I say, please, I've done this so far. Can I please have the adult board? And he goes like this. And there are 4 visiting masters, and everybody goes like this because they don't even want to see it. And this one visiting master looks at me and he says, are you sure? And I said, yes. So they put the adult board. So I go and I have to kneel on my right knee and straighten my left leg. And I only have about this much between me and the boards. So I got nothing. I wouldn't even break one board. So I think, what do I have? I have energy. So, if the boards are here, I start going like that. And all I can lift is like this much. And I'm imagining there's this ball of light forming in my hand. And then I go like this, and I imagine that the ball of light is exploding. And I do that several times, and I'm connecting my hara, I'm aligning my chakras, I'm expanding my field.
Wow.
I'm like really making this happen. And I go like that, and I do that a few times, and then I lift. It's probably like 10 inches that I have for this 5 boards. And I scream because it's screaming. I go, ah! And I go, poof! And all of the 5 boards break at once. And the power of the energy was so strong that the cement blocks flew sideways and fell on the floor. I look at my master, he's crying. There was everybody that was there in the dojo, because there were so many parents and family members. Everybody's up on their feet. People are crying, people are hugging each other. It's like this whole entire thing, because the impossible just happened. It was one of the highlights of my life, but that really shows the power of energy. That's why I always say, anything is possible to heal. Never give up. Never say no. Never stop, regardless of how much the trauma is, how serious the physical illness is. Anything. If 5 wooden boards and cement blocks can fly sideways just by the explosion of energy, anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Wow. That's
my
an
favorite
incredible
story.
story.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
So I have a question about Qigong. Do you know about Qigong and what do you feel about that?
I feel like Qigong is an incredible art for balancing the energy field, because it moves the energy in different ways. What I've seen from it is that really brings peace and balance. And as you're manipulating the energy and clearing and bringing it in, it's actually, if you're doing that with awareness, it is clearing your chakras, it is aligning them, it is aligning your energy field. It's beautiful. It really, if done with awareness, it's truly beautiful.
They have a VR app for that. It's Qigong VR, and I've been feeling the pull to get it and try it out, and, to check it out, because it's something about it puts you back in your body, even though it helps you really. It's like dancing, but it's feeling the flow of the energy and moving around and all that. So I have a real quick question for you, from, I believe it was from Mel, and she was asking about, are phobias a result of blocked chakras?
Yes, for sure. So again, anything that's not aligned and flowing in our lives, there is some blocks, there is some trauma, whether it's this life or another life. Phobias, from what I see, are mostly related to past life experiences. Like for me, I have water is very hard for me. If water covers my chest, I can't breathe. I get very short of breath. It's very hard. And I know I've drowned a few times in my life. So like people that are afraid of certain things, afraid of closed spaces. Phobias usually have to do with past life situations. But the beautiful thing is, if you can go into that and you clear, so there's an energy conglomerate that is still in your energy field that wasn't cleared from that experience, that's still sending you the vibrations of that pain, that trauma all the time. So it's just like resonating there the whole time. And if you can clear that, then slowly you can then readjust the energy field to feel safer in this lifetime. So it's usually a past life healing need.
Wow, that's interesting.
It is. And Kathleen, in regards to past lives, she's been having this reoccurring issue where she has this vibration, where she's just vibrating all the time. And she's gone to many people and trying to figure out what it is. I've suggested a healing session with you, and she's wondering if she can carry over blocked chakras from past lives and then become a vibrating sensation.
Sure. I mean,
I don't mean to laugh, Kathleen, but it's just like, it's kind of interesting the way you put it that way. So, and I know that she has a great sense of humor. So, yeah.
We carry everything with us. That's why it's so important to do our work. We carry everything from lifetime to lifetime, a blocked chakra, belief system, a distorted relationship, a trauma. We carry everything. So, that's why some people come in and they're freaked out about everything. They don't want to be here or whatever. There's something going on there. There's why some people, they can't find their purpose in life. They don't know what they're doing here. They don't know why they're on this planet. There's some block there. We carry everything. So again, that's why this work is so important. If we really want to move forward in this life and beyond, it's like an investment. This friend of mine says it's the best investment for my future lives I can ever do.
So funny, so true.
I love
A great way of putting it.
And Tammy's saying, I love that story that you just shared. She really needed to hear it. She was just diagnosed with bladder cancer and needs the inspiration to beat it. So much love for that.
Oh, Tammy, it's it's not, I would even say it's not even beating it. It's claiming yourself again in whatever this lesson is here to teach you, and really empowering. Don't even give the bladder cancer a power that you have to beat. It's just, okay, this is here, empowering yourself, seeing what's there, creating your energy field, to be more aligned and vibrant and balanced. Like really claim yourself in this and have your essence really go through this journey so that it doesn't even have a room to be here anymore. It's just not even a part of you at some point.
And do you believe there's certain parts of the body that are affected by certain emotions? So like, for instance, what would bladder cancer be a representation of in many ways?
Well, that's such, oh my gosh, we would need like another, 15 minutes for this, because there are parts of our bodies that are connected to some emotions. So like the bladder is it's ruled by the second chakra. The second chakra has a lot to do with feelings about self. It has a lot to do with sexuality. It also has a lot to do with nurturance from the mother, nurturance in general. So that all could be affected there. But each one of us is such, as we've been talking, it's so much more complex from all of our experiences and our past lives, whatever happened back, whenever. So it's really important. That's why somebody that's really highly trained that can look at the bigger picture is important, because you want the full healing. So you start with that, and then you see, where is this coming from? Is this from this life? Is this some trauma? Is it from past life that, I don't know, you were in an accident and the bladder got damaged, and the way that it's looking for healing now, it's showing up through this, and it has nothing to do with an emotion. It can be anything. So it's really important to not, just give a label to what it is.
Exactly. Yes. No, thank you for that. And Wendy is saying, Prajna should make a comic, or someone should make a comic about you. You're a superhero. So
I love it. It has to do with wings and some rainbow.
Well, we'll bring you into VR and create an avatar for you. I just love that. And then Jane's saying she loves that investment for your future life. So,
right.
Yeah,
I love
great.
that too.
Well, we have come to the end of the show. I can't believe how quickly it has progressed, but it always does when we're having fun, right? And when we're learning so much. And I can't thank you enough, Prajna, for all the love and healing you've shared with this community. We've had so many testimonials in our group sessions and in our comments, and just all, it's just amazing. And Kelly and Shirley can speak I can speak for you. You're amazing. Everyone should have a session with Prajna.
Yeah.
It's very affordable. And I'm telling you, every experience differs as to like what you experience and when it takes effect. Because there's a process of integration and a process of, of it just to happen. So check out PrajnaAvalon.com, and then you can email her for a session at PrajnaAvalon.com.
And I feel that we would be remiss without thanking Marianne Borer for the gift within us.
Definitely.
Because that's how how we met Prajna, actually.
We did.
So thank you, Marianne.
Always be indebted to Marianne. Thank you so much.
Always. And it's like those chord connections that brought us together, coming back full circle to the beginning.
It sure
it's
is.
The chord connections that brought us here, and that brought this amazing community. You're talking about the reunions. This is an incredible community that you three have created. It's always such an honor to be here, and such a pleasure, and it's bringing healing to so many, and you're all beautiful, incredible beings, and you bring healing in your own unique ways, and it's such a gift to be invited into it. So thank you from all my heart.
Well, thank you.
Gosh,
And
thank
you.
you.
if you want to stick around, we are going to do an after the show meetup, and we'll do that via Zoom. And you can get all the details by going to our Both Sides Now TV Facebook group. And the details have been scrolling across the screen for quite a while now. So just go to Both Sides Now TV and then click on Visit Group, get you in the group, and then we'll have that link for you to join us for the after show event in Zoom. All right.
All right.
Thank
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for joining
much.
us. And
Thank
we will
you
see you
all.
next week.
All right, everybody. Take care. Be kind to one another.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kelly Wine. Two perspectives, one world.